What a gigantic running kick to the balls as a Florida State fan that we experience this yet again. Not that we're owed anything by college football. You have to go and take that for yourself. But just a note of condolence to all of us who passionately support, love, root, give of our time and money to Florida State football. I'm there with you. I feel your pain. I'll tell you on Saturday, you know who else felt that pain and were vocal? That was the money people. That's where we start, because that's where it really begins. People will say, are you done with him, Jeff? Do you want him fired? I said last year when they went 2-10 that in any other era of college football, he would have been fired by going 2-10, and he would have deserved to have been fired going 2-10 at Florida State. But it is a different era. That contract, unfortunately, was extended and raised. And it was and is the era where you can flip a roster and see if you get better returns. And at times, certainly it's possible. Doesn't appear to be possible currently, as once again, the ACC season opened. And it was a grand opening, grand closing, as I like to say. You've played 3 ACC games, and you've lost them all. 2 of which were at home. And this one probably is the one that broke the backs of most of Mike Norvell's most ardent supporters. So it really doesn't matter if I think he should be fired or if you think that he should be fired. I say it doesn't really matter. Of course, it matters big picture whether or not a coach, a program, an athletic department, a university has the support of its boosters and alumni and supporters of any kind. They're the ones who buy the tickets. They're the ones who, after all, have to pay for the debacle when it goes south. These days, we pay for all of it. And right about now, we're getting nothing in return. I can only imagine the frustration that the other coaches of all the other programs at Florida State feel. Because we are consistently robbing Peter to pay Paul. That is to say, all of those other programs represented by the name Peter, football being Paul. We take from all of those other programs, basketball, baseball, and all the others, and shower Paul with all the money. And Paul is face down in a ditch, drunk again. It's the 6th time Paul's been pulled over in the last 2 months. What are we going to do about Paul's drunk ass? What are we going to do about drug-addicted Paul? Paul is killing us. So you wonder what has to happen. Because it's not as simple as, well, we cut ties with Paul. We find somebody else to shower with money, and they'll right the ship. Things will be okay. We'll go through a reputational rehaul, and we'll be fine. You sure? Who's that person? Who is it we're bringing in? When does the process begin? Now? Today? Did it happen Saturday as the clock struck 0? Does it happen at the end of the year? Does it happen next week? Does it happen if by chance you go on the road and face a god-awful Stanford team who's already fired their coach, of course, you recall, and lose that game? Are you even allowed back on the plane? The people that will make the next big decision, well, you merely have to walk around campus to figure out who they are. Their names are on the buildings. If you go by the locker room or you go to the practice facility, the indoor practice facility, if you go and you look around the stadium, what do you see? Yeah, you see the people that have to decide now whether they pool their money together and get out from under this, or do they wait it out and risk becoming obsolete? Apathy sets in. Renewals, they don't happen. Stadium half empty. There's a Mike Harrell of the world from Sunstop. There is Alan Flamenhoff. There is Jim Owens. There is Brian Murphy. Yeah, look around. CEO of ReliQuest. Look all around that stadium. There's Peter Collins, who President McCullough leans on quite a bit to get some thoughts as to what should happen in the athletic department. Those are the people that have to decide. You know, the Tampa Mafia, as they're called, the big hitters in Atlanta, those are the two big-time locations of all of the money boosters for Florida State. That's where they reside. Tampa, Atlanta. Do they have a meeting of the minds in a Godfather-esque ballroom in which they sit down and decide who gets whacked and when? And who do they want to bring in? The Langford family. All of these folks are of whom I speak. Because they're the guys. And you, again, are doing a bit of a balancing act now. Now you have to figure out, is it worth it to hang on for dear life and let this year and or next play out to lessen the buyout to a palatable number? Because, of course, the retort is, well, how much are you going to save if you wait till next year? 9 million, 10 million? How much are you going to lose if you don't do it? How many people aren't going to show up? What happens to the recruiting class? What are your possibilities moving forward of bringing this guy or that guy in if you wait? You juxtaposed it with, well, have you looked at next year's schedule? You want to bring in a guy to wear that ass beating? Because we're a middling ass program right now. We're not equipped currently from a talent standpoint, certainly not apparently from a coaching standpoint, to get wins in the ACC. And if you look at that schedule, there's a lot of L's out there. These days, as a Florida State fan and supporter, you probably look at any schedule, any of them, and see a lot of L's out there, don't you? It could be like, well, there's Wake. I don't know. You feel good about the Wake game, do you? And then you say to yourself, as you ruminate on that for a moment, son of a bitch, I don't feel good about the Wake game and our chances of winning it. Should you ever say that aloud? Should you ever have in your heart of hearts a disbelief, a sense of lacking, wanting, yearning to get a win, that you know you're going to get over the likes of Wake? Should you ever have to be wrestling with that? Should you ever be sitting in the position that we are currently on a Monday asking yourself, I don't know, man. I don't know that they're going to go on the road and beat Stanford. This isn't Harbaugh's Stanford. You know, should you be in a position to where you say, well, it's an ACC game. Don't know if we can win it. And the person across from you say, well, who? Which ACC? It doesn't matter? Does it matter? Any of them. So I'm lucky enough this past Saturday to be in the Loge. And those people are obviously the heavy hitters at Florida State. They're the people that have a lot of say in what happens next. And they're, generally speaking, when you meet them and you talk with them, and their love of university certainly knows no bounds. I mean, after all, many of them had to pay $2 and $3 million to be a part of that, and $1,500 a seat. They're in the lap of luxury, and they have it, but they're giving to their university. They want to support their university. They care deeply about their university. And this is currently what they're being rewarded with, which is an inferior product within the ACC, let alone nationally. But they are buttoned up, successful business types that generally don't allow emotion to get the best of them. They're analytical. A lot of them, that's how they owned businesses, sold businesses, made a lot of money. They don't let the emotions of the moment get the best of them. They gather themselves. They stay internal. They think deeply. Those people that I witnessed on Saturday late in that football game becoming vocal is a sign that we're at an inflection point with Mike. You may argue that that should have already happened or could have already occurred, but I would tell you that the moment that you wash your hands of Mike is different than when they wash their hands of Mike. They're not better people than you. They just have more money than you. And that money does all the talking. So you and I, we might say, I'm done. I'm done being a joke in the ACC. I'm done with all of the losing. And there's so much losing. I mean, at the end of the day, there's just the losing over and over and over again. You lost every single conference game you played last year but one. You won that one 14-9, if memory serves. And Farmer had a day for the ages, and the kid missed a bunch of field goals for them. So you hung on at home for dear life against Cal. And then, of course, you've played 3 ACC games this year, and you've lost all of them. There's been too much and too many reasons to have the conversation and the frustrations that follow regarding the equity that Mike once had but has now lost. I would think Mike Norvell's most ardent supporter, as I said before, is probably done right about now. Is probably of the mindset, I've tried, Mike. I like you. None of this is personal. That's true for me, too. It's not. But this is a pretty straightforward set of circumstances. The sport we love and have a passion for and seek to be great in is one that is simply measured by whether or not you win games or you lose games and how much. Do you win them at a very high rate with great consistency, commensurate to your pay? Or do you lose them with great frequency in a way that is not commensurate with your pay, in a way that should see you making minimum wage? Are you earning your money? Is the program upwardly mobile, or is it stagnant and in danger of becoming irrelevant? Those are extremes. A lot of times you might say, well, we're not quite there or there, but we're somewhere here in the middle. But we're not even in the middle right now. We're not even in the middle right now where you could have the debate. Well, I think we're going to have to really show real constraint and patience here, guys. We're playing the long game. Hang in there. We'll move from being middling to good and eventually great. You think that's happening? Problem is, if you don't, you say, okay, I'm ready to move on as well. I'm ready to wash my hands. I'm ready to go another direction. Then I say, who? Who's the guarantee? Who's the guy that you're bringing in that you absolutely know, will set Florida State straight down a path of victory in which, and let's define our terms because it's important to do so, what's the goal? Well, let's argue that in this day and age, you need to be a consistent contender for the college football playoff when you're a program like Florida State, right? You are part of the upper echelon of college football historically over the last 45 years, and that is what you seek to be, more importantly, because your investments show the world that you care to be that. It's not my opinion that you ought to be or that this should be a thing. It's what you've invested in. You've shown me time and again with the money that you've poured into this program, that it is paramount that we win and win at a high level. That is to say, I don't expect you to win the national championship every year. That's unreasonable. But I do expect you to compete for ACC titles every year, which puts you in a position to make the college football playoff annually. Are you doing that currently? No. Did you have a year a couple of seasons ago now that in which that happened? You did. And it's what gave us all belief that things had turned the corner and we were headed in the right direction. But alas, there is new information before you. And you are free to make adjustments to your considerations and thoughts about what the future holds with this coach and this administration athletically because of that newfound information, the glaring evidence of failure.